Welcome back to the Plus Side of Nashville. We're continuing our discussion today with Kate Kretsch and Gary Schwegmann from Dismas House, Nashville. So Kate, you and I were talking a little bit earlier about the fact that you help raise funds for an incredible new facility that you have that's over 20-something thousand square feet. You went from a tiny little house over on Music Row to this large facility. How many people were you able to serve prior to your new building?
In our old house on Music Row, we had 8 beds and staff offices. So 8 beds means that we could put 20 men a year through our program. Most of the residents who come through our program stay an average of 4 months, and so, or 4.5 months, and then they move on. But it was only 20 men a year who went through that program.
And so now,
and the need is, yeah. And now we are slowly ramping up our capacity. So we grow and then we stabilize and grow and stabilize. But when we're at capacity, we'll be putting over 150 men a year through our program.
That is wonderful.
10 times, yeah, that's a huge growth in capacity.
And Gary, let me pull Gary in at this point, because you're the facilities manager of this incredibly modern, large facility now, and you also live there, I understand.
I do.
That's
it's a nice facility. It's state of the art everything. I mean, you couldn't ask for a nicer building. And like I say, I do live here, and I'm with these guys day in and day out. And I kind of act like a voice for them, to try to help the staff understand what they're going through. And then I try to help them understand what the staff is going through. So I try to bridge that communication gap.
You're the perfect person to bridge that communication, because you can relate to both sides. What is it, having been a graduate of the program, that maybe you learned about yourself, or something that you think is crucial for all the other residents to learn about themselves in the program?
That you got to want to change. It's just not going to happen on its own. You got to want it, and you got to work after it. You sure do.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I think that your story is one of those great success stories. One of the things about Dismas House, the recidivism rate is extremely low, isn't it, Kay?
It is very low. So the residents who complete the program, and as Gary said, are really willing to commit to the change, we have about a 20% recidivism rate. So it's very low. So basically 8 out of every 10 residents who complete the program are going to stay out of prison and remain free and productive members of society.
I just wonder what it is that you feel is the difference, perhaps, between your program and some others, that really sort of sets the tone for these men, because it's all men, right?
All men.
To help these men understand that they do not want to return to their previous life, that they do want to become productive members of society, just like Gary. What is it about Dismas House that you think is really the factor that can get through to these men?
I think that we address the whole person. So we look at their mental and physical health, and we really promote physical well-being and mental health and the supportive structure. And while initially when they come in and we say 4 nights a week, you're going to have to sit down to a community dinner, sometimes there's some resistance to that. After all, just knowing that acceptance, so that back and forth every night with the community, and seeing that the community wants them back, feeling wanted, feeling welcomed, really helps with their transformation. I physically see the change in them from the first few weeks that they're here, and about a month later, their skin's starting to glow, they're hopeful, there's optimism, they can't wait to get a job, they're motivated, they're starting to be productive. They're not taking anything for granted, and they're really engaging in the program activities that we provide them.
Well, I know
Gary, do you?
the pandemic has totally hampered the way a lot of our nonprofits are able to do business, to work with the people that they serve, to raise funds. How has this COVID-19 pandemic in any way affected Dismas House?
It's affected us in that we've had to really have a good plan. So Gary was able to come over with the old house, but any new resident coming on campus is initially quarantined. We have these transitional housing units. And so the first few days that they're on the campus, the first 5 days, they're quarantined. And then we send them off for testing. And when their tests come back negative, they're allowed to re-enter with the general population. So it seems kind of hard, but at the same time, it's necessary for us to keep the safety of the residents. We have had to really up our IT infrastructure so that they can Zoom. So thanks to a generous gift from Comcast and the Urban League, we got 20 laptops for our career center, and every resident right now is using a laptop to join their AA meetings or to meet with their counselor. They can meet that way with their initial case manager. So everything they need to participate in, they have a laptop, and they can complete all those activities through an online. And we also have a very large dining hall. We move the tables out. The yoga class is held. We can practice good social distancing in there so that they can also take online classes, as well as their CrossFit classes are done in our large dining hall.
All wonderful, wonderful things. Well, I would love to talk about how we as a community can help you. I understand you have a fundraiser coming up that's a little different this year, and we want to talk more about that when we come back. So stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.